Hey, welcome to the Kevin Elworth Unplugged Leadership Podcast. My name is Kevin Elworth. I'm excited to be able to host you today. We're going to talk about life, leadership, and all the things in between. Today, I want to dive in. We're going to talk about revisiting your why. Why do you do this? Why do you do what you're doing? And why is it that you stay at it, man, day after day, time after time, minute after minute? There's got to be a reason for all of this. And to be honest with you, when you kind of figure out the why, when you consider the why, it really comes down to every facet of your life, all the details of everything you're involved with. There's a why behind all of that. And sometimes you know why. Sometimes there's a great many of things that you just have no idea why. And when you're tested or when you're up against something that's going to try your patience or try your fortitude or whatever, we can tend to lose heart in the things that we are about and the things that we are doing because we don't know why. And so here we are, still really at the beginning of this year, just a couple weeks into this year now. And it's really important as you kind of set the tone and the gauge for the next year, that you kind of assess why, that you revisit this why. And maybe it's time to just kind of formulate a new focus on why. I want to just kind of draw a point to this because this has come up for me recently with some of the clients I've been working with, and even for my own mentality. But as I said, we're at the beginning of this year, and it's still fresh and real and an opportune moment to kind of reflect on this. But it dawned on me the other day, as we were kind of getting to the end of 2023, and I was not hitting a goal that I had in mind. I was doing everything I could to bring the goal into my presence, into my reality, but it wasn't coming. And I was a little frustrated with it. I'm like, man, why is this not connecting? Why is it not clicking? And then at the beginning, I had a new expectation as we crossed into 2024. And when I didn't see that expectation materialize, I also got a little bit more frustrated. And I'm going to go spiritual here on you for just a minute. I'm going to put my pastor hat on for just a minute. And then it kind of dawned on me, we spend a lot of time focused on times and seasons that coincide with a calendar moment. And it really kind of connected with me that, what, God himself is not confined by time or space. He is not worried about you tearing off one month to the next month. He's also not concerned about you crossing from one year to another year. And I think we kind of hold ourselves hostage to our own expectations based on where we are at in the calendar. I mean, let's face it, we focus on quarterly goals or monthly goals or weekly goals, daily goals. I have like a quota that I want to hit on a daily basis. And if I don't hit that, we can kind of gauge our success or our satisfaction or disagreement based on what we are accomplishing based on these patterns. And yet, God himself is like, man, I'm not worried about time and space. There's so many passages from a scriptural perspective that talk about seasons and times and seasons and all that. I just don't think that God much cares about the calendar and where we're at in the scope of, how's this quarter going and how's the day going, how's the year going, how's the stuff. The reality is that we just need to be consistent. And to be consistent, it really, really hones in on the idea or the pattern of why. One of our 5 kids, Eliana, youngest, and she's going through a season right now where she's really kind of testing the boundaries of what can I get away with, that kind of thing, I guess I would call it. What can I get away with? And, we believe in, there's obviously every family believes in some form of discipline and a disciplined structure. We've resorted a lot to like writing sentences and that becomes, we're going to try to drill this into your thinking and those kind of things. And I was coming down on her the other day for something that she had chosen. And I asked her, I said, I said, why are you doing this? Why did you make that choice? And her answer is this. She always goes to one or two things. She's trying to figure out what I want to hear. And it kind of annoys the fire out of me that she's doing that. But she said this. She said, I don't know why. And then she said, because I'm just stupid. Well, no, it's not because you're just stupid. In fact, that's a terrible thing to say about yourself. And I would tell her that. I'm like, you're not stupid. Don't go down that path. Basically, what she's trying to do is she's trying to create a victim of herself. And I'm like, I'm not playing that game. You made a choice. You made a conscientious decision. And I really get hung up on the fact that she would say, I just don't know why. Well, when we begin, this equates to business and in life and all the things in between. That's why I talk about life, leadership, and all the things in between. Your why is precise and of greatest importance when you begin to, like this. I don't know who made this statement, but it's pretty popular. When you lose your why, you lose your way. And then Simon Sinek, who wrote the book, the bestseller, Start With Why, he pointed out that people, companies, whoever, identify purpose and use that to drive their actions. Identify your purpose and then use that to drive your actions. So often in life, we have no purpose and we still drive our actions. This is why we kind of react to so many different things around us. In a recent conversation with a potential client, I was on a discovery call recently, and he's throwing out things. Well, what if I do this, and what if I do that, and what if I head here, and what I could try that, and I could do this, and all these different things. And I kind of just I listened to him, and then I stopped him, and I said, I want you to understand that all those things are just symptomatic. You're just seeing, oh, there's a little bit of profitability over there, and there's a little bit of potential here, and there's some, I could do this and all that, but none of those are purposeful. They're all good things. No one's going to deny that that's not maybe a good option, but is it the good option for you? And I kept coming back with him to the spot of like, what is your purpose? What's the end? So why are you doing this? What is the real reason that you want to go after that thing? This really kind of struck me as I was listening to a podcast the other day also, as I was working out. I'm not a music person when I work out. I want purposeful thoughts coming through so I listen to some kind of motivational something, or I listen to another podcast. And one of these days we'll go through some of the things that I read or listen to or whatever when it comes to growth. And he was going through this. I was listening to Bedros Koulian, and he was going through this conversation about mission, vision, values, and those kind of things. And I think it's really important that we drill into the idea of mission, vision, and values when it comes down to the very life that you're living. How many people do you know, or maybe let me just ask you yourself, do you have a vision for your own life? Does your life have a why? In other words, why do you get up every day? And my suspicion is that so many people get up just to survive. In other words, the only reason that you get up and you go about your day is so that you can have funds to pay the bills that you have created for yourself. That's your why. Why do you do this? So that I have food on the table? Really? Like that's your why? That's your purpose for life? One of the things I've got coming up here, actually I should mention that, commercial content. One of the things I have coming up is a special coaching session that I offer. In the scope of this, I think it would be this coming Thursday night. So January 25th, if you're listening to this before January 25th, 2024, you should join me on my free Chasing Purpose coaching call. It will answer some things about who you are and about what you're doing and about what you want. I guarantee it. It is like a packed-filled hour that is going to unearth some things about who you are, about what you're doing, about what you're deciding, where you're going, all those things. I guarantee you it's going to produce some things inside of you that's going to stir up a desire and make you want to move forward on some things. So if you want to do that, actually, I think you can just visit my Facebook page and you'll find a link there. You got to sign up for it so I know where to send the link to. But Join me in that. It will really help you. In fact, all I'm going to talk about today, I always do some commercial content. What do you have to offer? I just want to tell you about my free stuff, man. There's always every coach or every person, I think most everyone has some kind of free something that you can step into. And why do we do that? Because one, help my purpose in life, my why is to raise the level of leadership with the people around me. I want everyone that I interact with to be able to take a step up in their own level of leadership. And I'm not even close to the place where I want to get to in this yet. So take that free coaching session. If you want to do something one-on-one, I offer that too. You can go to my website, kevinelworth.live. There's a link at the very top of that page that says book a call. Click that button and take me up on the offer to just have a conversation. No strings attached, no anything. I'm just going to help you think. I'm going to help you take a step forward in leadership. And then while you're there, take a moment, fill out that form to get my free ebook called Thriving Teams Unleash, the Radical CEO's 5-Step Integration Strategy. It will help you, man. It comes to you free, and then you'll be added to my email list, and you'll get value as often as I send out email. And I promise you, it will enrich your life. It will move you forward. It will help you. But start with some resources that are going to help you hone in on why. When we fail to define purpose, we're actually a ship headed out to sea with no port of call. Can you imagine that? First of all, show of hands. Have you ever been on a ship? Like a big ship, maybe a cruise ship or a cargo ship or something like that. I have a ship out right here in my driveway, if you want to call it that. It's a big old boat. And I mean, we just go out and have fun and all that. But I remember there's only one time that we've been on a cruise. We're going to go on a cruise at the end of this year. I'm going to prophesy that because our family has always had this dream of going on a cruise right after Christmas. And so we're hoping to do that. But it's always important to figure out, where's the ship going, right? Are the ports of call someplace that I want to go? Is it warm enough? Is it going to be fun? Is it whatever? But can you imagine getting on a cruise ship that promised a great destination but didn't tell you where? But can you imagine a cargo ship leaving port and saying, well, we're going to go somewhere that needs something? I mean, the lunacy of this. It would be like you getting on a ship that here's their slogan. We hope to take you someplace nice, but we cannot disclose where that is. And then when you get there, they ask you, is this nice enough? How many of us live our lives like that? We live our lives hoping that it's going to be awesome. But then we get to the end of our life and we're saying, that wasn't exactly what I expected. Was that what you expected? Was that what you wanted? No, it wasn't. In fact, I had so much more in mind. Well, why didn't you do it? And then we give a list of excuses about why. But if you start with why, why I'm living my life, why am I living here? Why am I working the job I'm working? What do again, I'm going to tell you my thesis for life is this. Your life is defined by the questions you're willing to answer. So start with why. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Just ask them what questions. I would caution you with this. Don't ever ask how questions. Don't ask how questions. If you get hung up on how, if you ask how questions, you will get hung up on how, and you will never, ever make an advancement on the things that you want to do. So ask what questions. Ask why questions, those kind of things. All right, so here's a couple things that I want to send you home with today. 4 points that are pretty simple. Number 1, define your why. When you define your why, you may discover that you're nowhere near where you want to end up. I think that's what some people's fear is that as they begin to kind of unearth some of this stuff, they're going to be afraid of the results they actually uncover. And they're going to kind of be painfully in a position of, I'm not living my best life. In fact, I'm not even living the life I want to live. I'm just on survival mode. I don't want you to live on survival mode. Begin to define your why. Well, how do you define it? How do you do it? You can start with asking some questions, right? You can start by asking some self-inquisitive questions. That's what my Chasing Purpose coaching call is all about on the 25th. It's just a list of questions that we're going to process through together. So define your why. Maybe there's a book you can read, Simon Sinek's Start With Why. bunch of different resources that you can work on. In fact, one of the things I'm trying to put together right now, I've kind of tabled it for a moment, but there's a great mastermind class that I would love to host at some point called Put Your Dream to the Test. And to put your dream to the test, you have to have a dream. So, and I think all of us do. I just think that some of us are in a position where we haven't given ourselves the permission to dream the dream. So, what is it? Why do you want to do that? Why are you doing the things that you're doing right now? Define your why. Pretty consistently. In fact, we are due for another conversation, but my wife and I usually get together on a Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon or an afternoon, whatever. And we will spend probably 4 hours tied up in, just here somewhere. And we'll be investigating almost everything that we're about. How is our relationship? Why? What is our relationship about? Where are we headed with it? What do we want to accomplish? Where are our finances? What about our kids and their faith-filled journey and our own faith-filled journey and those kind of things? What are we doing? We're actually reconnecting to our why. Where are we in the scope of where we want to be? That is so critical and pivotally important. I want to just mention this right here, right now, and maybe we'll talk about this at a better time, but midway through last year, I got this idea. In fact, I felt like the Lord just kind of downloaded it to me and said, do this. We came up with a 5-part process, a 5-part prayer that became our family focus. And I actually wrote it down. I printed it out for each one of our family members, and we posted it somewhere. We are all collectively praying around the same idea, and it's probably time for us to revisit that. And all of them are attached to why. Why do we want to do this? We want to do this, or who are we becoming? It's that right there. It's those kind of things, and we're mentally pursuing those kind of things. And it's amazing to me that as you go through this, you begin to unearth some amazing things that attach to that direction because you're focused on it. Define your why. Number 2, and I've already touched on this one a little bit, revisit your why often and with a magnifying glass to scope out the details. So that's what I mentioned when it comes to my wife and even our family. We are kind of investigating each one of these things with like microscopic detail. Where are we at in the scope of that? What do we need to add or change or alter or amend so that we can continue to pursue in that direction? Revisit your why. Number 3, this one's pretty powerful, but it's vulnerable. All right. Talk about your why publicly. When you become transparent about your why, there's a new power that is behind it. When you keep things to yourself, there's not a whole lot of impactful, purposeful power that is behind what you want to do. But when you go public and you start articulating, this is my why, and this is what I'm about, and this is what I'm focused on, there's a new power that's in operation. In fact, there's a scriptural principle that's behind this. It was actually a commandment, almost an imperative from the God to the people of God. And as they're going into like the quote unquote promised land, he told them, he said, write these things on the walls or write them on stone. In fact, there at some point along the way, the law of the Lord was inscribed on a stone, not the 10 commandments that are inscribed on stone, but the entire law of the Old Testament was written on a stone. And it is literally said, as you pass by that, inevitably you're going to ask, what is that about? That's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And it opens the door of opportunity to say, hey, let me tell you the story. And it was imperative that God recommended or encouraged or demanded of his people, don't forget. Don't forget where you came from. Don't forget where you came through. And don't forget where you're going next. Don't forget those things are all why. But anyway, I have a point that I want to get to with that. He said, talk of it. Talk of it as you're sitting at your table, as you're connecting with your family, as you're doing all these things. He said, he was saying, don't ever stop talking about what this is. So talk about your why publicly. Get engaged in conversation. Let this be the thing that just people know you for. That's what they're about. That's what they're focused on. That's what their heart's desire is. It won't stop if you give it like voice. And then number 4, I think this one is pretty important also. Line up your values and your actions with your why. Like literally every choice you make, every dollar you spend, every decision you make, all of the activity that you do should find some way to connect to your why. It should be there. Why are we going out to have fun today? Because it's one of our family values. Well, why is it a family value? Because our family values heartfelt connection. And why does it value that? Because we're going out for, the greatest formation of faith a family has ever had. Whatever it is, figure out your why and then start defining your action around why. Why are you going to do that thing? What is it? How does it get you closer to the desired end that you had in mind? In fact, I think that's one of the upcoming topics I have coming up here. Let me see here. I got a whole bunch of topics. Yeah, the intensity of desire. I want to talk about that one. That one's quite a few pages down the list here. But revisit your why. Spend some time really kind of at the beginning of this year or whenever you're listening to this podcast and ask yourself some of those why questions. Remember, stay away from the how questions. Focus on why, focus on what, leave how to something else, and it will resolve. When you ask a how question, you're actually inviting a problem into the mix. And you don't want to invite problems into the mix. No one wants to be characterized by problems. So forget the problems. Focus on why, focus on what, and focus on who you want to become. Listen, this has been fun. I hope it's been encouraging, challenging, uplifting, and a little bit, challenging to you. And as always, if there's ever a way that I can be of help, don't ever hesitate to let me know. And we'll talk soon. Have a great day.